So ayan po, good afternoon po sa ating lahat. Ito po ay continuation lang po ng report ni Miss Pagaspas. Sino po sa inyo nakakatanda o nakakaalam pa ng ibig sabihin ng causality? Causality is the relation between something that happens and the things that cause it. The first thing that happens is the cause and the second thing is the effect. Piaget lists 17 types of causal relations. Initial thought of any arbitrary simplification is discarded. The first type of causality is psychological causality, or in other words, motivational causality. For example, God or people send us dreams since we have done things that we should not have done. Sinasabing, the true meaning of a conversation with God symbolizes the good things that will happen in your life. You are waiting for good news, and they come with full strength, joy, and the days to come. Pero bago mangyari lahat ng iyon ay kailangan mo nang magtiwala o maniwala at kumuha ng mga bagay na naayon sa kagustuhan ni God. But if Jesus only listens to you, it is a sign that your faith needs more work. You need perseverance in the things you desire for your life. Besides, you need a lot of a confidence to fight for what you want. Sinasabing, it is certainly the most primitive type. However, it also the one that survives the longest. The second is finalism. Finalism consists with the first type of causality as a follow-up. However, it gradually distinguishes itself from it. This connection with psychological causality cannot be perceived or cannot be clearly seen. Dito, sa finalism ay wala siyang concrete basis. Yung causality din di gaano kalinaw or hindi nakikita, ganun. Phenomenistic causality means that there is a relationship between two facts in the description of events, and these events are by no means related to life except for their contiguity in time. Such inferences are typical of the thought processes of a young child. When a child thinks that the two events are related to one another because they happen close in time even though they are unrelated. For example, it is dark outside because I'm sleepy. The fourth is participation. Participation is more common than in its first instance. However, it disappears after 5 to 6 years of age. The principle of participation is the sign between two objects with similarity or affinity relationship. In other words, the occurrence of the first allowed the others to occur. The fifth is the magical causality. It is gestures, thoughts, or touchable objects are assigned or related to efficacy, and there are a lot of participation established among these objects. Thus, certain words have an effect on a number of objects. For example, our primary focus was whether children's belief about magical causality. Specifically, wishing are constrained by features that govern the distribution of ordinary causality. In experiment 1, children witnessed situation in which a confederates which appeared to come true. Three features of causality is priority, consistency, and exclusivity, were systematically violate in the wishing scenarios. The dependent measure was children's attribution of a causal rule to the confederates which wish in explaining the appearance of an object. Results revealed that children's attribution of a causal rule to the process of wishing was constrained by two features of ordinary causality, priority and exclusivity. Results from experiment 2 and 3 demonstrate that children who honor this same constraint represent physical causality to a noble machine and to a marble toy. It is concluded that magical causality is constrained by some of the same features that constrain ordinary causality. Moral causality. Children explain the existence of a certain movement or feature by the necessity. However, this necessity is always about morality. Put it differently, it involves the view that events happen because they have to happen. For example, karma is an intentional act, an act consciously through body, speech, or mind. Karma means good and bad will. Every act of will is called karma. In other words, karma is the law of moral causation. It is action and reaction in the realm of morality. It is the natural law according to which every action produces a certain effect. So, if someone makes benevolent acts like monetary donations to charities, he will experience happiness. On the other hand, if someone makes malicious act like murder, will experience suffering. This is in fact the law of cause and effect. In this way, the result of karma from one past determines the nature of the current situation in his life. Artificialist causality. The artificialist turn of mind, of which we have seen so many manifestations, may certainly be affected to go hand in hand with a systematic interest in industry and adult handicraft. Everyone will have had occasion to notice this. All workers, and especially mechanics, excite the greatest interest in boys, and even in little girls, for their more feminine days have begun its predominate. Animistic causality. Children explain the existence of a character or form by an internal biological tendency which is both alive and conscious. Animistic causality complete artificialist causality. Animism is the belief that inanimate objects such as toys and teddy bears have human feelings and intentions. By animism, PJ meant that for the free operational child, the word of a nature is alive, conscious, and has a purpose. PJ has identified 4 stages of animism. The first one is up to the age 4 or 5 years, the child believes that almost everything is alive and has a purpose. Second is during the second stage, 5 to 7 years, only objects that move have a purpose. The third is in the next stage, 7 to 9 years, only objects that move spontaneously are thought to be alive. The last stage is 9 to 12 years. The child understands that only plants and animals are alive. Dynamic causality. Once the effectiveness of the objects of the previous animistic stage is appropriately eliminated, the internal force of the explainable activities and movements of the objects still remain. Thus, there is primitively confusion between force and life. Finalism outlasts free causality while dynamism outlasts animism. Reaction of the surrounding medium is a type of causality which involves the first realistic physical description made by children. Despite being primitive, the movements of objects are physically expressed. Although there are the traces of dynamic causality in the explanation, magic, impulse, intention, or mystery seem to disappear. Mechanical causality occurs in this kind of causality between the age of 7 to 8. The explanation at this point is also mechanical. Mechanical causality, a construct that explains the causes of things and events, including behaviors, in terms of causal relationships among the parts of a machine. Such an explanation will nearly always be one of linear causation. Mechanical causality is a type of hard determinism. See mechanistic theory. Causality of generation. The explanation is causality of generations are not separated from the previous type. Substantial identification resembles the causality of generation. Objects do not result from other things but result from the burning and fusion of other matters. Substantial identification is frequent between the ages of 8 and 10. Condensation and rarefaction. Children give explanation about the matters that make up the main feature of object. Atomistic composition. Once objects are considered to result from condensation or rarefaction of original matters, they will be inevitably considered to be made of particles tightly or loosely compiled together. Spatial explanation involves the years after the age of 9 and 10, and children produce advanced explanations. Explanation by logical deduction. Explanation by logical deduction involves all mechanical, spatial, atomistic explanation, and others. This stage covers the age of 10, 11, and over.